Well, hello and welcome back. Welcome back to another amazing Unstoppable Mumpreneurs Telesummit interview. And we have another awesome mompreneur with us here tonight. Her name is Bridgett Tulloh. And I'm going to tell you a bit about Bridgett here via her bio, but you would learn tons more about her and the amazing work she does and her perspective on mompreneurship as we roll on through this interview. So Bridgett Tulloh founded the Radiant Mompreneur to uplift, teach, and inspire millions of women around the world. This mission began when, after spending 2 years as a stay-at-home mom, Bridgett launched into the world of online entrepreneurship. She found that loving both roles was a very unique and challenging experience, and she wanted to reach out and support other mom entrepreneurs on this journey. Bridgett, you have found your place right here. Thank you for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. So, Bridgett, in our pre-chat, I know that you have a adorable 5-year-old little boy. Can you tell us a bit more about him, about being a mom? A bit about your entrepreneurial journey. You sort of whetted our appetite there in the bio, and what, a little bit more as to what really kicked off that inspiration for you.
Absolutely. It was one of those things that I knew I always wanted to do, was to be a stay-at-home mom. So I'd been a teacher for many years, and we knew when I was pregnant with my son that we wanted this lifestyle of being able to be home and be present with him. And so we saved up some money, and we, the first year we made it work, and it was just wonderful, just giving my full attention to him and being home with him. I loved it. But I knew that I was going to need to go back to work at some point, and I, was kind of dreading that. Year 2 came around, and we made it work again, and I started to feel, the pressure of needing to go back to work at some point, and I didn't want to. I did not want to. I wanted to still be home, and I wanted to have the lifestyle that I had envisioned, and didn't want to do the traditional 8 to 5 again and be away from him all day. And for us, it's different for everyone, but for us, we didn't have family nearby, that could really help out. And so it would have meant for us, daycare, full-time daycare, and a whole different shift in our family that we weren't really excited about. So I started to look into ways to earn income online, which, you kind of hear that, and you can make money online, and you're not really sure what that involves. But I was very fortunate that I came across some really powerful mentors online, and one of my favorites is Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income, and he's had just tons of information on his site about how to get started. And man, it just ignited me. I'm just absolutely driven at that point, because I saw what was possible, and I saw that it was possible to create online businesses and to really create a lifestyle that most people don't really even consider for themselves. So that's why I work a lot with vision now too, is because I want other mom entrepreneurs to see what's truly possible. And so it's allowed me to have this nice combination of work from home and also being with my son. So it's worked out beautifully for us, and I want to support other mom entrepreneurs who have chosen this path, and it's been an amazing journey the last 3.5 years.
And that's how long you've been in business, 3.5 years.
Yes.
Fantastic. I'm going to pull out and stretch a bit on a couple of things that you touched on here that I think were quite poignant. Before I do so, let me remind our listeners to please grab your notepads and your pen. You know me by now, I show up to every interview with them, because I say it and I say it and I say it, and I'll say it again right now. We're receiving tons of priceless information here that, honest to goodness, costs hundreds and thousands of dollars or pounds for if you were to have a coach or a mentor. So don't waste this opportunity. It is rare, and it is highly beneficial. Grab your pen, take a minute, grab some paper, paper you're going to hold on to, not get, lose or throw away after. But, let's take notes of everything that really resonates with you. Great. Bridgett, you talked about knowing what's possible. And that's something that a lot of mompreneurs and a lot of moms who are thinking, maybe they should really go on and give mompreneurship a go. There is something that they want to do, maybe, very dissatisfied in their jobs. I'm not saying to leave your job forthwith, but if you don't find it rewarding and fulfilling, and you're considering going into business of your own as an option, then it is a worthwhile consideration. But there is preparation. You've heard it throughout all the other interviews. I'm sure you'll hear it here as well. But it's knowing what's possible. And a lot of moms, even moms who've already started their businesses, don't really know what's really possible for them. And you very, very nicely connected that to vision, didn't you? Because it's the crux of it, isn't it?
It is. It's where everything started to shift for me.
Mm.
And, it's really the foundation for what you want the rest of your life to be. Because a lot of us go on traditional paths, and there's nothing wrong with a traditional path. I went to college, I knew what I was going to do. Well, I had a couple of years there, I wasn't sure, but you take a path and you go on a career path, or, there's certain things that are status quo, and we can have very fulfilling lives like that. But I think the problem comes when we simply don't have the awareness that there are other options out there. Because of cultural things or the way we're raised. It may be because maybe we've gotten a little cynical about what's truly possible. There's a lot of reasons why we kind of come to this place. But what I really love to do is to take, the lid off for moms, and to show them, you can truly do and be what you want in this life. And unfortunately, so much of the time, so many of us, and I did this too, we don't ever allow ourselves to really want, to really want. And it's really fun and liberating when you can do this. And so I really started about 3.5 years ago with pen and paper. And I sat down with myself for 20 or 30 minutes and just allowed myself to dream a little bit. And we tell our kids that, right? Dream big.
That's right.
But then we get fearful about actually admitting what things we would like to have. And it was really fun. So I wrote down just stream of consciousness, right? No judgments about it. Just if you could have what you really wanted, if you could do, if you could be. So it can be anything. It could be career related. It could be where you want to travel. It could be a kind of car you want to have. But just what excites you, and just getting it all down on paper, and then taking a look back at it. What stands out to you? What really inspires you? What really, what are the 5 or 6 things you want to circle and really focus on? And it's really powerful. And that's what drove me, all those late nights when you're balancing both roles as mom and entrepreneur. That's what drove me is having a clear vision. And the enthusiasm, energy that comes from excitement, that you can really have these things, that you can really be fill in the blank. It's very, very powerful.
I couldn't agree with you more. I really couldn't agree with you more. And I say that, and I'll have a moment of vulnerability here. I had a conversation as recent as 2 days ago with a dear friend of mine. We were talking about just that. She's an amazingly brilliant woman, a truly beautiful, wonderful soul. And I don't say that because she's one of my best friends. She just is, And we've both been in business now for roughly the same time. And I have had my ups and downs and my knockbacks and flung from side to side. But, as you do, you get up and you go again. Why? Because you have that very clear, compelling vision that you have. And one of the things that we talked about, and I very lovingly highlighted to her that perhaps what you have been working at, this little niche you've carved out or focus you've carved out for yourself in business, have you ever considered that it might not be that? And it was a difficult question to ask, because I know how hard and how long she's been working at it, and I didn't want to burst her bubble or make her feel any more deflated. But the time had come for me as a friend to ask that question lovingly. And she, thank God, she accepted it as such, and has decided to take a look at, again, review her vision. Because admittedly, from her own mouth, what she's been working at the last 4 or 5 years hasn't been really stoking her fire. And I personally believe that is that's the litmus test. That's the very basic litmus test. If it doesn't excite you, if you don't feel tingles, if whatever your sensation for excitement might be, it's slightly different for everyone else, it must do that for you. What do you think on that?
Yes, and I think that it's important to revisit your vision.
Yes.
It's similar to goals, and I think goals stem from the vision. You start with the vision, which is more kind of generalized, kind of broad strokes, big ideas, and then you take that and create very specific goals from that. And just like with revising goals, it's good to check in with yourself every 6 months, once a year, something, and revisit what you truly want, because it changes. We evolve, and there's a lot of moving parts in our lives. So we have to take stock. Yes. And I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves time for reflection. We're very busy with the doing. We're very busy doers, and we're very good multitaskers, and we're very good at taking care of other people and other things. And if we sit at our desk and think, if we're just still and we reflect, we almost feel like we're not doing anything. And there's this tendency to want to, but I have to send this email, but I have to do this thing. And so I think it's important to remember the value of just kind of sitting with yourself and taking inventory of what's going on and what's making you tick and how you want to take your next steps and create.
Precious points. No, absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on, precious points. No, thank you for sharing those. Thank you. So, you 3.5 years there about in your first year or so, what were some of, year or two, what were some of the early challenges that you faced as you started out in business for yourself? And what did you do to overcome them?
The biggest challenge for me initially was sleep deprivation. Just exhaustion, because I was home with my son during the day, and when you're with a toddler, you're not getting anything else done.
No.
Be able to check an email or two, and that's about it. So I knew that my days were going to be dedicated to him, and I was okay with that. I was happy with that, but it meant that I had to work in the evenings after he went to sleep. And he was a terrible sleeper, by the way, so I'd start working. He'd wake up at 10, I'd go be with him. I'd get back to work at 10:30. He'd wake up again at midnight. So I had a lot of nights where I was working till 2 or 3, and there were some tough days there. Right? Because when you have a night like that, your next day is you're not always feeling your best, and so there's kind of, well, we all know about mommy guilt, right? So there's always this kind of balance, and so I'd be thrilled that I made progress on the business, and then I wouldn't feel my best the next day. I'd feel like I wasn't a good mom, and so it's just back and forth. That we need ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But those are some of the tougher times, because I knew I had to put in the time, at night, and my husband would help me on the weekends, so I got some time there too. But and I think it was, gosh, I don't remember if it was Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn, but I love both of those speakers. So this idea that you can work full-time at your job and part-time on your fortune. and eventually you're working full-time on your fortune. And so even though I didn't have a job per se, and I can go back to thinking about when I did work a traditional 8 to 5, if you're busy all day, you're consumed with responsibilities, you can still work part-time on your fortune or what it is that drives you for change. And eventually it starts to tip.
Yes.
It starts to, because you can't sustain those kinds of nights for a period.
No, not at all.
I did that for about a year, maybe a little more than a year. And it was challenging. I didn't do that every night, obviously, but that was a big challenge. And I think it's part of what we have to realize as moms is that we can have it all, but sometimes not all at the exact same time.
That's right.
So
That's
just
exactly
making some
right.
choices, some mindful choices there about what we want to be doing.
Yes. No, it's funny, the very first time I heard that, I already experienced it as a mom myself, but I was reading one of T.D. Jakes' book, and I absolutely love, his teachings. I do. I'm not a religious person myself, and I say that unapologetically, but I do consider myself to be a spiritual person. And but there are a couple of people, T.D. Jakes being one of them, who I think bridges that very, very beautifully and very, very authentically. And he said that in one of his books, you can have what you want, but not all the time. And it's such a big piece for us moms, and I think for women today, because we've got further to go, but we've come such a long way. That there is a lot being peddled about having it all, and yes, we can. I do believe that we can have it all, but not all the time. And you did speak to that beautifully.
Yeah, not all at the exact same
not
time.
Not all at the exact same time.
I think that balance is, we talk about work-life balance, and that's
a
bit of a myth, but it's just a matter of being mindful, I think.
Yes.
Just tuning in.
Yeah.
And making mindful choices about it.
And
autopilot.
Yes.
And the struggle with that and making choices. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Cheryl.
No, I think it's important that you've said what you've said there as well about not having it, you can have it all, but not all at the exact same time, because it lets people off the hook. We're already as a species, as a gender in particular, so guilt prone. We are so guilt prone. A wasted emotion, I know, but yes, even the best of us are prone to it from time to time, however rare, but there is still that hustle, that struggle with a lot of us mumpreneurs to do it all, to be it all, to have it all. And it can be quite releasing to hear, and to hear some, especially not that we are putting anyone on a godlike status, but to hear from a successful mompreneur that you can have it all, but not all at the exact same time. It just makes you breathe. Then it is okay then. Not are we seeking permission from anybody else, you need permission from yourself. What this does is helps you give yourself that permission, All right, lovely. So, several years down the road, what is an obstacle, the number one obstacle that still comes up for you, and how do you manage that?
It's still tied into the same things. It's not exhaustion anymore. I get better sleep these days.
Yeah.
But there is always, and I don't know what age of your children this starts to shift, maybe never, but there is always this tug at balance. And I think that there's times where, I've coached moms who have teenagers, the moms that have, toddlers. And there's this sense that I should be checking my work email when I'm at a baseball game. Yes.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I should be writing some copy while my daughter's in ballet class.
Yes.
And I'm sitting outside. Yeah.
Because we're super women, right? And we have to do it all at the same time. But and it's funny because one of the beautiful women that I was coaching, she said, well, this is being a boss, right? This is being a super mom or whatever. And I just said to her, is it? you know,
Mm.
is this what being a boss means to you, looks like to you? And she got really quiet, and it's no, because
No.
there's nothing wrong. Look, we all have to check email at, you know, a time that maybe we would not prefer. This kind of thing happens. It's a matter of what's your norm, what's your go-to, and it's choosing to be focused on this, and now choosing to be focused on that instead of trying to do it all at the same time. So it's that balance. And I see that with my son now, where I've got time blocked that I know I need to be in my office, and time blocked that's really protected to spend with him. And sometimes the two overlap a little bit in ways that make me uncomfortable, right? And I have the mommy guilt tug. But, you know, the big picture is good. And that's what I keep coming back to.
Yes.
We're going to have off days and days with tantrums. And I'm talking about the children in this reference, but there's days where
You too.
there's days where we're in tears.
Yeah.
You know, that's real life. And so we have to be kind to ourselves. But I think balance is a big one, because I don't think it ever stops. I think there's always commitments pulling at us from different points. And we just need to choose wisely and focus our time. And I'm very big on protecting your time. Very big on that. And for me, Wednesday mornings are a time that I rarely work. It's always blocked off for my son. And it's really important to me. So it's what you, again, it's what you sculpt. It's what you want. That's what you want. Write it in your calendar, make it happen. Be protective of your time. And the same thing, you know, if it's an important work engagement, be protective of that time. This is when I need to do this, because this is income for our family. This is important. It's so important. It's just making it work for you and your family.
That's right. You know, you spoke there to what I think a couple of the mompreneurs on this panel have spoken about. It's your non-negotiables. You know, and it's something that we can struggle with as women sometimes, because some of us we find it challenging to say no. We find it something that's, you know, I'm getting better and better at myself. I can't say I'm perfect. I can't say I'm there, but I'm getting better and better at it. You know, and drawing boundaries, just setting those boundaries. It doesn't mean that we're becoming ultra inflexible. But as you said, it's carving out those pieces that are going to get our undivided attention, those pieces for which we will be present. And those pieces can be pieces within your business or family. It's protecting them. Or for yourself, that's right. Let's not leave ourselves. We do. We do. And that for ourselves as well. Yeah, absolutely. Great. In your work, and you work like myself with mompreneurs. In the main. Yes. What's the number one obstacle that you see holding mompreneurs back, and what advice would you give to our mompreneurs, you know, here online with us, to overcome that number one obstacle?
I think most mom entrepreneurs don't truly grasp how extraordinary the online marketplace is right now. I see a lot of women doing good things in their business. They are networking, they are blogging, they're on social media, but there's a next level that happens when you truly get the concept of online marketing. And what it is, basically, in my mind, is that you have an extraordinary reach across the world by being online. And as I'm speaking to you now, you know, so I mean, it's just the power of being online. And we have the ability to get a degree of passive income or revenue generation because of being online. And so what that means is that if I have a product to sell or a service to sell or an ad you can click or anything online, I could be sleeping and someone in another state could buy that, or I could earn revenue. And so there's this idea of laying the pipe work, the pipelines, you know, for
Yes.
these revenue streams.
Yes.
So you can do what you want to do. If you want to coach and do one-on-one work, that's beautiful work. But there's ways to leverage that.
Yes.
You know, whichever field that you're in, you can always leverage it by being online. And there's so many ways to do that. But I think a lot of us don't really see the extraordinary capacity of that. And that's what I really learned from Pat Flynn, which was just the power of being online. And that's where I focus most of my attention, whether it's lead generation or profits or reaching out to the community. That's where my attention generally is online.
Online, yes.
Extremely powerful.
And
sorry.
No, you go on, please.
Location freedom with that as well. If you can pick up and take your laptop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yep. Anywhere you can get Wi-Fi, you know, you can work. Fantastic. Fantastic. There's a bit that I wanted to come back to you on there. Yes. You touched a bit on making money while you sleep. And that's something that we've touched on a few times in this video series. Because it is possible. It is possible. And when I heard you starting to speak about it, I leaned in and, you know, keen and listening. Yeah. Because you put in a very important caveat there, very important foundation, which must be in place for that to be possible. And it's laying those pipelines, as you've worded it. Because a lot of people believe, and a lot of people do peddle, a lot of the super gurus in this, well, a few of, not all of them, not a lot, some that I have heard, excuse me, peddle what can sometimes come across as a bit of a pipe dream, that, you know, you can make money while you sleep. And for people just coming into the industry, for people who've been in the industry for a while or are new to online marketing, they can be somewhat misled, I imagine, into believing that you can have that happen at the click of a finger. I'm so thankful that you highlighted the fact that you have to lay the pipe work, you have to do the groundwork, and yes, it is possible thereafter.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It is a matter of, it takes, there's this analogy that I heard in a book I read, and I think it's The Richest Man in Babylon, but I could be wrong about the book, but the analogy is really beautiful. And it's that if you are doing traditional trading your time for money in any capacity, whether it's salary work or it's consulting or whatever it is, trading time for money, you basically think of it as like taking a bucket of water each day home with you, right? Have you heard this? The bucket of water?
Yes, I have.
And so it's not a lot of prep work. I mean, you show up and you get your bucket and you do the work. Whereas with laying pipes, what you're doing is you're having to do the infrastructure. You're having to dig down into the ground and take these massive pipes. So it's a lot more work up front.
Yes.
But then you have just at the turn of a faucet, you've got water and from multiple sources, hopefully. Yes. So that's the idea behind it. And so there is prep work there, you know, with anything.
That's right.
There's groundwork to lay, there's strategies to learn, but it's there. And I'll tell you, when I first learned about online marketing, I did a lot of things. I wrote articles and, you know, got some ad revenue and just was experimenting with all these things. And one of the I did was Kindle publishing, and I haven't published a Kindle book in at least 2 years. But every month I get residual income from my Kindle books. About 35 Kindle books that were published. Now, all of them didn't take off, and they're not making me rich, but it's amazing to me that 2 years later I'm getting, you know, this monthly paycheck. So I know that if I had done 2,000 books instead of 35 or whatever, that paycheck would be bigger, but it's kind of the same idea, right? So there's so many ways to get at it.
Yes.
You figure it out and you see the power of it. Very empowering.
Very much so. Very much so. Great. No, thank you for sharing that piece, really. And I love the illustration that you outlined there about the pipes. It does make it it's very visual, but it makes sense. It does connect the dots, highlighting that there is upfront work required. Yes. And once you put that in place, it's there. It's there. Lovely. So, on to a question that, yes, we've had very different opinions on throughout this interview series. And it's a question that asks, do you believe that any mom can become are, and I like to say, holistically successful mompreneur?
If they really want to.
If they really want to.
Because if Tony Robbins says a lot of people in this culture, I guess you would say culture maybe, who dabble. We have a lot of dabblers, and I've been guilty of that too. Dabbling in that, but we don't have a lot of masters. People who master a skill, and I think that I have seen mom entrepreneurs who start out with an idea or want to earn, a bit of side income here or there, but in truth, they're not quite committed to it. It's just kind of a nice idea if I could get some extra income. And so if that's where you're coming from, it's hard to lay pipe work like that because it requires a lot of work and some sacrifice and a clear vision and all that good stuff. And so if you're dabbling, it's not going to happen for you as quickly. And you may be more likely to kind of throw in the towel. Right? And I've seen that happen, and it doesn't mean that it just means maybe they've changed course. It's okay if that's not your passion, is to become an entrepreneur and to grow an online business and to have all the freedom that's so important to me. Maybe that's not a big driver for that person. That's okay. But you have to have a big driver in order to truly be successful at this, I believe.
I certainly agree.
I think like mindset's like 90% of business.
Yes.
And so you've got to have, if you've got the commitment and the desire, you can do it. You can learn anything. Absolutely. I didn't know how to do any of this stuff.
Same.
But
you learn as you go.
You don't know. I need to know how. You have to have a big why, and then that just leads you to the how. You learn how to do it along the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Drink that in because it is the truth. It is the truth. Your why is far, far, far more important than the how. How is a good question, but we ponder too much on the how, and it's another form of resistance. It keeps us where we are, trying to figure it out. You take that first step, and then the way opens up from there. I was looking at the door because I was wondering if that was my little one. In 5 minutes of fame. All right, great. Okay, now brilliant piece. Thank you. So our next one here is another bit of a stirrer. Which do you tend to veer more towards, Bridgett? Is it work-life balance for you, or is it the blend of work and the rest of your life?
That's a tricky one to answer.
It has been.
I'm pretty big on separating them, actually. I say that here. I'm in my home. I work from home, so there's only so much separation, right?
Yeah.
My son is downstairs with my husband, and yes, he's been known to break into the office mid play harmonica.
Yeah. I'm losing you there.
I think it's important to focus. I think that's really big, and we know that from research. Focus is. Are you still there? I saw a little internet.
Yeah. Okay, we're here.
Yeah. So we know how powerful focus is, and every time we lose our focus, we lose momentum, we lose time, we lose efficiency. And so I want to be able to focus 100% with my family when I'm with them. But that means I need to focus 100% on my business when I'm working. I think trying to do both at the same time, I don't know what that would look like. Maybe that would look like a work call while I'm making dinner or something. I don't know. Like I think that would make me crazy. So I think I'm more maybe on the balance side of things. This is my time for this. This is my time for that. And I think that helps me be more present in both realms.
Right. We had another expert. I remember, I think it was Jenny, who said something quite similar. She needs to have that bit of a separation. When she's with family, she is with family. When she is working, she is with work. And we've had several of those say, it's more of a blend. For me personally, it'll be more of a blend because that's just how I function in my head. Having said that, though, I don't know if it's ever purely a blend. Because for me, it's a blend in so far as when say if I'm with my family, I'm out with my family, and I see something that inspires a business idea in me, I always have pen and my notepad ready, so it's not just on interviews, people, I whip up my little black notepad and I make notes on that, so I can, when I sit down to work, I will revisit that and take action on it. And vice versa, just always making notes. So in that respect, it's a blend for me. But when I'm with my family, I do like to be present there, and same when I'm with my work. So yeah, bit of both. Bit of both. Okay, good stuff. Your son is quite young. He's only 5. So I'm not sure what form your answer to this next question will take. But what impact do you think being a mompreneur has had on him, or will have on him, as far as you can tell?
I think it's going to be huge.
Mm.
I grew up with a very different set of beliefs and values than he's growing up with. I grew up thinking life is hard. I grew up thinking it's unpredictable and you don't know what's going to happen, and money is a struggle. I had all of these beliefs that were pretty strong in my life growing up, and I spent a lot of years just reading personal growth books.
Yes,
I mean, I was drawn to them, I was drawn to them, and I just love this stuff. I went to Tony Robbins seminar last year. I'm drawn to these things, but it takes a long time for me to go from that kind of default setting. Which
yes,
have, right?
That's exactly the word I had in my head. It's a default setting. It is.
Yeah, and so he's not going to have that. He's going to have this idea that you can create a life that you truly love, and he's going to grow up with the idea of it being connected to service to others. And I think it's really beautiful. I mean, I think he's just about old enough now to maybe start to have the idea of a vision board. So I want him to be really connected to vision. It's not just about business and the numbers. I mean, obviously, you're in business, you need to know your numbers, and there's a lot of skills that come into play when you're in business. But to me, it's much more about creating what you want, the lifestyle you want, and having a set of values that really allows you to have what you want, but to contribute as well.
Yes.
And so I think that's what he's going to get from seeing me do this and not compromising.
Not settling.
It's not about him being proud of me, do you know? Like, it's not about, oh, look, mommy has a business, aren't you proud? It's not that. It's more about laying a foundation for him to create what he wants in his life.
Yes.
As he gets older, I think is what's going to really matter. That was a really great question. I don't think I've had that before, and it kind of made me think a little more deeply about that.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I really felt that I had to. It was one of the early questions that came to mind for me as I was putting this together, because doing an interview, a Telesummit series, putting one together on unstoppable mompreneurs, I could not include this question, because I'm a firm believer our kids are watching us. They are watching, and we are imprinting for them, just as we, our parents did for us. Doing the best they knew how. We've come along afterwards, and we've taken the best of what they have to offer, and we have taken responsibility for our own lives and have gone out to take on more of what can make us grow into who we are here to be and who we are here to serve. And I think the things that we do as mompreneurs have quite an impact, quite a significant impact on our children. And excuse me, you touched on a piece here that I think every single expert has touched on. It's as far as this question is concerned, and it's about our kids growing up seeing that there are choices, more than one or two that's available to them, that they can do and have whatever it is they really want to do, that there is work involved in achieving those things. So it's the work ethic that they develop along the way. And you touch on a piece that I absolutely love, because our little one, she demonstrates this beautifully. It's that creative thinking, and I think it's every child. It's something that somehow gets stifled for us along the way as we grow into adulthood. But if more of that creative spirit, the creative sparks, could be nurtured and encouraged and praised and uplifted within our children, I think we'll have, just a super evolved, organically evolved human race.
We'll have some innovators and some world changers for sure.
Certainly, most certainly. So now I love your answer there. Thank you again for that one. So we're on to our final question, Bridgett. This has been I really love this. I really love this natural flow we've been having here. Question, the last one. What would you say is the number one habit, the number one strategy, and the number one insider secret that's been responsible for you being as successful as you are in your business?
Well, the habit is definitely mindfulness. And I really got a lot more into mindfulness about 3 or 4 years ago, about the same time that I became an entrepreneur. So they were timed nicely together. But I think of mindfulness both as an informal way of living, right? So it's just kind of the presence that we want to bring to an experience, and eliminating distractions and just being in the here and now as much as we can, because our mind wants to go forward and backwards to the future and the past all the time. And so it's about not being judgmental of that, but acknowledging that, I keep reliving that conversation from 2 weeks ago that's really bothering me, and right here and now, nothing is this moment is good. I'm right here and right now, and just kind of focusing on the breath. I use it in business. I use it in family. I use it when I'm stressed. I use it when I am feeling really good and I go on a walk. But there's also formal mindfulness, which is meditation. And I love meditation. I practice that.
Same here.
Yeah, it's very nourishing. And so that's a habit that, while others tend to come and go, I think I'll go on a several weeks where I've got a really good habit in place. Maybe it's exercise, or maybe it's my smoothie or something, and then I kind of drift from it and then come back to it. Mindfulness stays with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. Yes. Sure. Lovely. I like that, because that's meditation for me as well. It's one of my non-negotiables. Yes, lovely. And what would be your number one strategy?
Getting leads. Whatever business that you are in, getting leads.
Getting leads.
Yes. And so being, right? So your audience, your email subscriber list, to be specific. You can have Facebook followers, and you can have people who show up at local networking events who love you, but really it's about getting emails to really have a customer base. And you may not think of them as customers. You may think of them as your community or clients or your audience or whatever the word is that you want. But if you don't have leads, you don't have people to buy what it is that you are offering. And when it comes down to it, if you don't have people buying what you're offering, you don't have a business. So we focus on, does the website have the right color scheme, and has my business card look? And these things are, they're great, they're important. I focus on those at times too, but that's one of the mistakes I made, was not focusing on leads early enough. And I don't think a lot of moms realize the importance of it. It's really the backbone of if you're going to be an online business, that needs to be a primary focus, a primary strategy is getting leads.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And your number one insider secret?
Yeah, I think that the insider secret has to do with your list. I think it's an out in the open secret.
Yes.
We'll watch a YouTube video on how to grow your list, and then it gets kind of pushed to the back of the to-do list. It's a well-known secret. It's something that we think we know is important, but when it comes down to it, if you don't have a list of 5K or 10K or 20K, you're not making a significant dent in the marketplace. I think, we start out and we get our friends and family on board, and we get, a few hundred people on, and we feel like we're starting to get some traction. I'm telling you, the secret sauce is getting those numbers up in your leads, because you need a tribe of people who love you and trust you, and you need to connect with them and serve them. And that's the secret sauce right there, is the list. So the strategy is getting those leads, however you do that, with affiliates, with Facebook ads, with blog posts, and the secret really is on the list. You've heard that saying, the money is in the list.
You know what? I was just about to say that. When you were in strategy number 2, you probably picked up that Cheryl's energy just shifted off there into something else. You probably did, because I know you're very intuitive, and that's the saying I was trying to bring back, from the back of my mind. What was that saying again? And it's exactly that. You said it for me.
Yeah.
Money is in the list.
Yes. And the money is your business. It's your livelihood.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm uncomfortable sometimes talking about money or sales,
Mm-hmm.
but that is business. And if you don't have that, you don't have a business. So it is absolutely critical. And the value of your list is immeasurable. And we have a launch coming up for our membership site. And industry standards, just as an aside, for converting for sales is about 1%. So you think about the size of your list, and if you launch something, if 1% buy, or let's say you do really well and 3% buy, what does that look like for you in terms of your numbers? How much revenue is it generating for you? So you got to get really specific about your goals for what you really want to create, and how many people you need, and all of that. So it's just part of it all. So going from vision to goals, and mindfulness thrown in there, but you got to get down to the numbers when it's all said and done. And that's really, for an online business, just got to have it. Got to have the list.
Got to have the list. And you talked about the numbers there again, and that was something that some of our mompreneurs have spoken about. I remember Stephanie touching on that, being one of the first to touch on that, the importance of knowing your numbers, and you just got to. And I love the piece you shared. It's well known in the industry. You got 1%, and that's very, very decent. And some people might feel, very, put off by 1%. All that work, 3%. Is that it? Well, listen, my industry stands that you're doing great if 1% of your list was. So you have done not only great, phenomenally well. So there you go. There you go.
It is funny
those numbers though.
Yeah, if you have 1,000 people on your list and you send an email, how many people open it? Right? Maybe 30% if you do a good job. And then how many people click it? Right? 5%. And then how many people that click it actually buy? So that's kind of where it comes from. You start with these high numbers, and people that open, people that click, people that buy. That's the way it is, and that's why you have to have as many possible leads as you can. Absolutely,
wonderful. No, thank you for speaking to that as well. This is the first interview we've had that really expanded a bit. No fault on the others. The conversation just didn't go there. But thank you for taking the time to expand on that, because I think it's important that mompreneurs hear these little breakdowns as well. And it was done in a very loving way, nothing intimidating about it at all. So, but it is what it is. This is it. That's it. Lovely. Well, that brings us to a beautiful wrap on the interview itself. But now I'm going to hand it over to you, Bridgett, to tell us about your awesome free gift offer.
Yeah, thank you.
To our listeners, our viewers.
It's a free kit that I've created that's got 5 really quick and easy templates for you and your business and your home life too. We always got to include that part in there as mompreneurs. So it's a mompreneur survival kit, although I'm thinking of changing the name to Thrival Kit.
Thrival, yeah.
Some days it just feels like Thrival.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so it's a little kit I put together. It's got a 1-page business plan in there. It's super easy to fill out, because I know a lot of us hesitate to do these intensive 12-page business plans. And, it's really important to get clear about your business. So it's a one-page in there. It's one page for branding, your online strategy, and your audience building, which means your email subscribers. And then we have a work-life assessment, really. So it's just about checking in with where you are now and what you want it to be. And that's available at theradiantmompreneur.com. And if you don't mind, can I share about the podcast as well? We are we're launching the podcast October 15th.
Fantastic.
So it's available on iTunes. So please check that out. We have some mompreneurs that are kicking butt and sharing their stories and some great tips. So please check that out as well.
Fantastic. What's the name of your podcast?
So it's the Radiant Mompreneur.
Radiant. That's it. That's
we'll
right.
Have links
Same
to
name.
that on the site as well. Yeah.
Great. Well, I'll have that information up there. Your free gift link. There'll also be information about your website as well. So our listeners or viewers will be able to see all that and access it. Okay, really, really invaluable stuff for free. But
thank you so much.
Valuable all the same. Yes, well, you're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much for making all that available. Okay, well, this brings us to the end of our interview altogether. I'd like to thank you, everyone who's tuned in to listen to this value-packed, absolutely value-rich interview that I've been privileged to have with Bridgett. We have others coming, so do stay tuned, do come back, and I'd love to see you again. So thank you very much, Bridgett, for being with us here tonight and for all you've shared. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with other entrepreneurs. I love it.
Great. And we love you. Thank you. Bye now. Bye for now, guys.